he's going to have a busy weekend. He was the 2011 Sunset Speedway Superstock Track Champion and 2011 Sunset Speedway Summer Shootout Series Champion. One of the most exciting young prospects we've seen come through the short track world in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, third generation superstar, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Lane Zardo.
Down the roll and just briefly introduce yourself, what you've been doing in the last year, and we'll kind of take it from there. Starting with you, PJ.
PJ Gronk here. I've been racing in the Castrol Canadian Touring Car Championship the last 5 years. Looking forward to next year. Have some exciting news to announce today, and that's it pretty much.
My name is Matt Garwood. I raced with the Canadian Karting League the last 2 years, and next year I'll be racing in Formula V with Mazda Motorsports and Franzek, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Hello everyone, my name is Sasha Anise. I race in the Canadian Touring Car Championship. I also do a little bit of time attack, drifting, and whatever other motorsports I can get my hands on. So you'll see me and Hyundai racing in the Canadian Touring Car Championship. You'll see my Nissan at CSCS at Cayuga occasionally doing a time attack, and you might see me in some other motorsports events, so who knows.
I'm Dean Fanton, and I've been running in the Canadian Touring Car Championship for the last 3 years, and we're currently running a BMW, and we're all excited to get back on track very shortly.
I'm Lane Zardo. I raced the 46 Monte Carlo SS at Sunset Speedway, and I'm the Sunset Speedway Superstock Champion.
My name is Mike Bentley. I started racing late models 2005-2006. Raced at Flamborough, moved to Sunset Speedway. Had a good year last year and hope to continue success this year.
Hi, my name is Matt Pritico. I've raced in a lot of series, Grand Am series. I just started racing late models 2 years ago and finished.
So that's awesome. A wide array of talent we have here, and a lot of guys that really have a very bright future ahead of them. And I guess we'll start with you, Lane. And we had you on stage last night. A spectacular season in the Superstock division at Sunset, but you really got your start a long ago in karts, and I guess you really had racing in your blood. How did it start out for you?
Well, my grandpa's been racing for over 45 years, and he got my dad and my aunt, and my whole family's been around in it. And then my brother got into it when he was about 6, and when I turned 8, it was just my turn to step into a go-kart. I raced that until I was about 11, and when I was 12, I raced a mini stock at Flamborough Speedway, moved into a Thunder car at 14, and moved to Sunset Speedway. And then I turned 15, and that was just my last year running, and here I am now.
Yeah, I'll start with Sasha there. You're one of the ones that didn't come through karting, so can you tell us how you got started into the sport?
I've always loved cars and speed, and I think like a lot of kids I got started getting into a little bit of trouble. Started out drifting. Drifting was really popular for the kind of cars that I was interested in at the time, and I met a friend who was into road racing, got me interested in it, but I wasn't enough to change from drifting and sliding around. And over time, going to different events and just fun, open days, I just entered GT racing, and that was at the time the Touring GT Championship in 2006, and ran my own team, built my own car, and learned a ton. And from there it's just been one step at a time, and now you look back and realize that it just started from messing around in the street. It's kind of fun to look back that way.
And Mike, you're another go-karter. Started at the Waterloo Regional Car Club, if I'm not mistaken, and had an established car career before making it over to late models. But I know you're a second-generation driver, but how did you sort of get into racing? What started it for you and your family?
Well, I remember being at the track years ago. My dad was racing, just loving it, and remember doing laps in the grandstands, pretending I was driving, and it was just right for me. Got go-karting and just loved it ever since.
And Dean, you did some karting when you were younger, including racing against some famous names. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we used to do some karting in the Stage WK, the Great Lakes Sprint Series. And yeah, we did run with Danica Patrick for numerous of years, and there's been many other drivers that have come and gone in the karting and gone up and moved bigger.
And Matt, of all the short track guys on the stage, you definitely have the most experience in varying types of race cars. You've done a lot of racing in a relatively young career. How did you get started in racing?
Actually, I got started when I was 6 years old. My dad bought me a go-kart. I actually started at the Waterloo Regional Kart Club as well. Same with Mike. From there, I was on Team Snowcall 294 with Ron Fellows. Then I went to Candaian racing in the Candaian series. From there, I started my short track career in late models. Was the rookie year in Ontario the first year, and we finished second this year in points. It was a pretty good year.
Phenomenal year. You had a great showing, great championship battle with Andrew Gressel. It really was the highlight of the 2011 Delaware season.
TJ, I'm going to ask you about it right now. You said you had an announcement. If you're willing to make it, go ahead.
Yeah, well, for 2012, just wanted to announce that I've signed with Octane Motorsport. We'll be debuting a B-Spec Mini Cooper in the Canadian Touring Car Championship. I've raced with Alain before, and I really look forward to racing a full season with him.
Yeah, good enough. Third generation driver. Yeah, the brother had a very successful Superstock Thundercar career of his own. Coming into Sunset last season in 2010, not knowing the racetrack, not really knowing your competitors. That's a lot of pressure on a 15-year-old, but you really rose to the occasion. Who helped you along the way? Could you point to one specific person that really got you through those first night jitters?
Either my grandpa, both my grandpas because they were actually there, or my brother. Even though he was racing at Flamborough, he's always been supportive of me, and he's always tried to give me a heads up. He's raced at a couple of different tracks, so he's told me that there's different lines, you can do different things at different tracks. So yeah, either my grandpa or my older brother Billy.
Matt Garwood, who I happen to know fairly well. Why don't you tell us how you got started? You've got in karting that's different. It's the ride and drive karting that you've done, and now you're actually going to drive for someone else this year. So talk us through that.
All right, so 2 years ago when I was 14, I started racing for the Canadian Karting League in the Ride and Drive series, and I really enjoyed it. So after the first year, it went really well, and I did I Ride and Drive and the lease series program they had at Canadian Karting League, and I learned a lot, and Mike Goodyear taught me a lot. And then when we got the opportunity to go to Mosport and try out to see who gets to race for the Formula V next year, it all worked out in the end, and I'm really excited for next year.
Now, Mike, after your karting career, you sort of stepped directly into late model. A lot of guys will go from karting maybe to an intermediate sort of division when they're getting into full-bodied cars, start with a support class. You didn't do that. You weren't trying to get your feet wet. You just wanted to jump right into the pool. How did that all come together for you guys?
Well, I'd have to say with my father's experience and with cars and racing, it was just a no-brainer for us to go right to the top level, and we thought we could compete, and we did.
Hi, I'll put this Sasha. Can you talk a little bit about the Touring Car Championship overall, and especially with you building your own cars?
Sure. Well, the great thing about touring car racing is that you get to start from a manufacturer, and rather than a spec series where the series tells you this is what you have to run, we get to try, spend hours and hours in the dyno trying different parts. We get to go testing and try different suspension setups, different aerodynamic setups, and that's a really big challenge and what I get a lot of enjoyment out of. And I'd say 50% for me as a driver and 50% for me as a builder and developing the cars. And I couldn't see myself in a series where I couldn't touch the car and I just had to drive it the way it was. And touring cars are a great series because they'll let you try what you need to try. They want to keep the budgets reasonable. And so if you tell them, hey, this will work, this will give us what we need, and be fair, they'll listen and they'll allow you to do that. So it's a great way to go racing for a reasonable amount of money and have a great level of competition where all the cars are very
Of course. What made you switch over to late model racing?
Pretty much oval track racing is where it is these days. You need a ton of money to go road racing, and not so much oval track racing. We had a pretty decent budget our first year and did really well with it. And last year we did really well as well. So yeah, we're going to look forward to a good third year, and we're going to travel a lot and race a ton. It's going to be great.
Pardon? For your 2012 plans for this year?
Yeah, this year we're building a new car, and we're building on everything that we've worked on in the last 3 years in this series. And you know, we're still the team's still growing as a whole, and we're looking very forward to it. We possibly have a couple new sponsors coming on board, so we're very excited with that. And our venues too, with John and his team have definitely done a great job bringing this whole season together, and we're racing at the best venues and in front of the biggest crowds, in a lot of the different series. So we're just excited. Hopefully this year we can take first in the championship. We were very close last year, and I myself, I think I'm constantly improving. The team's improving, and we also have many other drivers that we're competing against. So it's going to be a very good fight right to the very end.
Yeah, Dean's not going to get that very easy.
I wondered how long it was going to take for you two to start arguing up here.
I actually have a question for PJ. PJ, being on your roof at Trois-Rivières definitely had to probably be an interesting point of your career.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, my competitor's engine died in front of me and I had nowhere to go. When I knew I was in trouble, I closed my eyes, and all the rest happened the way it did.
I think Matt's getting a little big-eyed here because he's yet to race a car, and as I'm starting to hear some of these stories, I'm thinking maybe he's starting to rethink this. So Matt, along that note, tell us what you're expecting from this year.
Well, I know it's my first year, so the goal is just to keep the car on track and don't wreck the car, and every week do a little bit better than we did the week before.
Do you find that your age and prior to this season, your relative inexperience is a bit of a hindrance when you're going out there and trying to sign marketing partners?
Sometimes, because a lot of people might not take us seriously because of our age, but a lot of the times we'll get a company that thinks it's kind of cool that we're so young and we're doing so well. So we use that to our advantage.
Have you been able to sign back some marketing partners and even go out and get some new names to be on the car for 2011?
Well,
2012, sorry?
Well, Mike Holmes is still sponsoring us, but we're not being sponsored by a show necessarily. We're going to be sponsored by his charity. And I think that's the only change for our sponsorship so far. My brother might be working on a little bit of a bigger sponsor also.
But so it's easy to talk to people on the streets and fans that are coming in, but still with the sponsors, I find it incredibly difficult. It's like Sasha had said, the whole economy is down, and trying to build it up. And with the series growing as quick as it is, it's also opening up other opportunities. So I think it's slowly getting better.
Sponsorship is never easy. Being in Canadian Touring Car Championship with the schedule we have, the amount of exposure we have, I'd say does make it a little bit easier for us. But yeah, it's never a hard thing. You just have to keep on plugging away, and eventually you'll get there. I'm one racer that races solely off of sponsorship, and I'm very lucky for the amazing group of sponsors I have. They let me go racing and live my dreams.
Sponsorship tip, but another part of getting you to victory lane, aside from the sponsorship, is help at the track. And what's interesting about your program is you guys run a bit of a skeleton crew. It's normally just yourself, your brother, and your dad helping out, but you've been able to sort of make that work for you. Have you found that having a tight-knit, closer group of people working on the car actually helps you, as opposed to having an 8 or 9 man crew?
Yeah, we had, through the last half of the season, we had Craig and Brad Snelling helping us, which really helped a lot with the workload of the track. But yeah, we've always had just a few of us working on the car, and it does help because to go over the car and to know exactly what everything on your car is proper is, I think, a good way to make sure you're
He's actually going to have a crew for the first time in his career. So Matt, maybe you can talk about what you're thinking about working with a crew for the first time.
Well, I don't really know a whole lot about it.
You first worked with both Mark Dilley and Jonathan Erlin, which is phenomenal because when you watch you drive, you can actually see their style in you a little bit when you're out in your late model. How did you first get connected with each of those fellas?
Well, I pretty much contacted Mark, and he's a fairly well-known driver, that's for sure. I went and spent 3 days up with him at Sunset Speedway. I had a time of my life. He showed me the ropes up there, and from there I went to Delaware Speedway, and I got attached to Jonathan Erlin, and I was with him for 2 years, and he showed me everything. His dad, Russ Erlin, a famous stock car driver, and he definitely showed me a lot as well. And from there on, we just had a stellar first year.